All right, today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. So the main focus for today, I think, will be our enhancements freeze, which is coming up tomorrow. As a reminder, there's a new production readiness questionnaire that needs to be included in all of the enhancements. Also, I believe the directory layout has also changed. So the name of the files and the actual KEP number is going to be different. So I think instead of using the date as a file name, it's now using the enhancement issue as the KEP number. So just take that in mind when you're sort of rebasing the KEPs that you have. I guess going down the list of KEPs, are there any KEPs that have not been getting attention that we need to focus on?
I have the recovery from resize failure kept like Zing reviewed it. I'm about to push a change that addresses her comments and I have formatted it to the new format. So it'll be nice if you and Zing can review it after that. I'll ping you when I push the change. Like
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to defer the reviewing the KEP to Saad.
I'll ping Saad as well.
Okay.
So Haman, are you going to create another issue? Because
I already did.
Oh, okay. All right.
I already did. And yeah, the only thing was like, I was hoping that this doesn't go under new feature gate so that we can move it together with expand in persistent volume feature gate, but it looks like it might be that we do need to introduce a new feature gate.
Because it has a new enhancement issue?
Yeah, all that.
Okay.
And it might be cleaner to have it introduced in alpha, even though it's for an existing thing. I know we have done it previously in past, introduces some changes directly in beta, but I don't know if Jordan or Tim will be like happy with that. So yeah.
Okay.
So I'll push up. I have introduced a new feature gate and added a new this thing issue. I'll push the update in 1 hour or so. 1 hour.
Michelle, regarding storage capacity, the plan now is to merge that as an alpha feature in 190, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, so do I. No, I was looking at your proposed plan, and it looks reasonable to me. I was just not entirely sure whether that means let's do an out of 3 experiment or let's target alpha in 119. If we both agree that it's worthwhile for 119, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I know that
my plan was to I would want to get this in and implemented as alpha in 119, and then I think in my plan what I wanted was we actually build some drivers, we run benchmarks and stuff to see if the problems that scheduling and auto scaling SIGs have identified are indeed problems that we want to try to get a fix for.
Yeah, but that all makes sense. I mean, the plan has always been to get something minimal working and then figure out with some real data in hand what to do next to make it better for the actual use cases. So yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah, so the main thing I'm gonna do is I just need to sync up with the scheduling and auto scaling folks to see if they agree that this plan seems reasonable to move forward.
I have done another update today to capture all of the concerns, or I hope I have captured all the concerns that have been raised in the pull request review. So the KEP itself now has a fairly long list of, is it called limitations or, well, this
open issues or something.
There was one, what's it called? It's not limitations, something else. There is, all of those should be now in the document. So once we close this one pull request, we still have a record of what the concerns were, and we can then look at we open issues at the time when we consider moving forward. It's listed as a blocker in the beta to beta transition. So I think the cap itself should now be a fairly good representation of what we've been discussing. I hope. Because
Yeah,
then we can
that
we
sounds
can
good to
merge
me.
it.
So
Yeah,
maybe
so, oh, go ahead.
so there's one thing about the capacity, the available capacity. I think there's a recommendation to start with available capacity, and because right now it's like have like two meanings that are confusing. I think that one seems
Yeah.
to be not addressed yet.
I have kept the API as suggested by Michelle and it's really identical to what we get from CSI. So there's no additional translation between a vague value in CSI to a more specific value in the Kubernetes API.
Right,
but it
I
is
think
listed.
the explanation, I think the comments part, I get, yeah, it's the parameter I think is the same, but I think it's the comments part, right? Comments says it means two things.
Yeah, but how we can't make assumptions about what we get from the CSI driver. So we right now it's really just a one-to-one copying of that value, including the entire semantic.
But yeah, but in CSS spec, there's no talk about the maximum, maximum size.
And that's why the API now also doesn't talk about maximum volume size anymore. It does.
It's still in your comments. I thought it's still there. It seems that part is not changed, unless you change it in C. I thought I just reviewed it. It seems like that part is not changed.
Okay, let me double check.
So it's like right above the place where you have that field, and then it's see the comments still the same, seems to me.
Perhaps I haven't updated that inline comment, but that's an oversight. So the intention is to have it with the exact same semantic as in CSI.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I see that you added something in other parts like drawback.
I think that.
Yeah.
But I mean, so the current comment is, depending on how the driver is implemented, this might be the total size of available storage, or the actual size of a volume that a volume may have. So it is documenting that this value is ambiguous, but it doesn't specify what it actually is, and that depends on the driver.
That might be a little weird. I think if it's based on the CSS spec, then it should just be like available capacity. I think that's what the CSS spec said.
Well, we can call it available capacity, but that doesn't change the ambiguity.
Yeah, but I mean, when you add this, I think it's adding more confusion because this other meaning is not really specified in the CSS spec, right? So, I mean, in the future, if we add more clarification.
So you want the field to be named available capacity.
Yeah, I think that would be better. And then also the explanation just says this is available capacity.
Can we just point to the field in the CSI spec and say?
I can just say that this is an exact copy of what we get from CSI, and then people can figure out what that means.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, but yeah, okay. I think probably still add some. You can copy some whatever description. Yeah. It's better because so that some people may not want to go there and read.
But even if they do read it, it's still ambiguous. Even in the spec, even when it says available capacity for volumes, in my opinion, that does not mean that it's a total available capacity.
Yeah, but at least it's consistent, right? So
yeah, I can make it consistent and say that this is a one-to-one copy of that,
okay.
And that means it's the available and blah 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 and so on. Yeah, I can change that.
Okay, yeah, so my plan to move forward with this is I'm gonna just circulate this, circle back with scheduling folks to make sure that everyone is in agreement and on the same page.
Okay. I'm getting the feeling that this scheduling folks are looking at this from their point of view, from what they are familiar with, which is, how do I schedule thousands of pods per second? Or I don't know, I'm exaggerating. I'm kind of expecting that the problem will be a little bit different once we actually have workloads with volumes, and that this might have different characters than what these folks are currently used to. But this is
It
something that we can
depends.
find. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what people will really try to do with this feature, and we need to find that out as part of our exploration work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I really think for like at least maybe not for persistent volumes case, but for like the generic inline volumes, ephemeral volumes case, where the use case is to sort of have an alternative empty dir, like as a scratch space. Like, I feel like that kind of use case is going to have similar characteristics in terms of pod churn and stuff. Like, it wouldn't be infeasible to think every single pod might want to use this as scratch space.
Perhaps. It again depends on which drivers people want to use that with. So yeah, but we'll see.
So I think something like, if I've heard a lot of things about people wanting like, fast local SSDs as scratch space. And so I feel like that kind of like local volume driver could fit very well with this use case.
It could be, but even then, even fast local SSDs are going to be much slower than something that works in memory. So I think that will be the limiting factor of how often you can actually start a new pod and do something with that volume.
Well,
And
no, it's not. I'm not comparing it to memory. I'm comparing it to the empty dir today, right? Empty dir today just uses boot disk. So it's boot disk versus a dedicated SSD.
Okay. Yeah.
It like sits in between, boot disk and memory.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's kind of like, I think that's the use case that they're kind of, looking at it from. And in that kind of use case, I can see like, performance requirements being similar to like the performance of empty dir, a pod requesting empty dir, which is a lot of pods.
That could be, yeah. We'll see. Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other KEPs that have not been getting attention that need to be? All right.
Not cap. Oh, sorry. No. I have something more under various topics, but if we are still talking about caps, let's focus on that first.
You do have another cap, right? You do have the generic inline volume.
Generic inline volumes. I think based on what you just said or posted in that cap that I should rebase. I hope we are close to merging.
Yeah.
So who has reviewed that one?
Jan looked at it from a technical perspective, and Xing has been looking at wordsmithing and overall cap status and content and format. So.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So if there are no other caps to talk about, we can move on to the items under this agenda for today. So we have image builds going on. I think, Patrick, did you have an update on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that this is the latest PR that does another trial round. Trial round in this context means that we have made changes to the Node driver registrar files, and someone needs to merge that now. It's not quite ready to be merged into CSI release tools, I think. I had some more questions around usability and how to do that. Some open issues basically, but now someone with an additional permissions in Node driver registrar needs to do the approve, and then we'll get another build triggered once it's in the master branch. And then probably the next step will be to merge it into CSI release tools.
Cool. Awesome. I can try to take a look at this, but probably tomorrow after we deal with all the caps.
Yeah. The other thing coming that came my way is also in CSI release tools. The Markdown linter check that we've been talking about for a while has been proposed. The script itself needs further work, but I wanted to raise that issue here because it does impact how we write Markdown if we want to do it consistently in all repos. There are certain default rules like maximum line length, just the usual style questions that come up. So I didn't want to improve that without bringing this up first, whether we want this. I think it makes sense. We
Yeah,
need to think,
I think so.
Yeah. There were some changes proposed as a result of this check where I didn't quite agree. For example, the tool apparently depend or expects HTTP links to be in angle brackets, which looked odd because I think we don't need that for GitHub. So we might
Do we
want to
know if
circle.
other Kubernetes repos have a markdown linter?
I don't know. And in fact, we haven't had any discussion whether that is the linter that we want to use. So there might be others. It's a bit difficult to deploy too because it's a Ruby application, which means in our CI system we need to find out a way to actually install the tool. I don't know whether they have download binaries or whether we actually need a Ruby development environment to build the tool and then run it. So yeah, there are open questions.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'd like to follow whatever the Kubernetes project is doing and sort of reuse the tools that they already have. So I guess we need to maybe do some research and see what other projects are doing.
I'll ask in that PR. It's actually a question I had myself. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Let's see. Any other topics that anyone wants to bring up?
Actually, just one small thing like that Jan and me were discussing in the morning. Maybe Tim O'Clair will address this, but he was wondering if we could merge the field for FS group change and SLNX. I don't know if you saw his comment. But
Yeah, I saw it. I haven't been able to really think about it, but I don't know. Do you think it's possible?
It is possible, and it's actually what like 95% of users want. I'm just not sure that it will work for all the users.
Would there be any users that want to use both and have different settings?
Yeah, like with Heman, we were brainstorming, like if you have a volume that's accessed outside of Kubernetes, and you always want to change FS group when you use it in Kubernetes because you don't know who changed it before you. But at the same time, you can still use mounting with Linux context directly because it's always going to work.
yeah, it's really maybe we can ping Tim, but it'll be nice to have a resolution because we already merged that cap for skipping FS group change. So if it's gonna go beta, then we'll have to put a hold on it. But we'll have to put a hold on the beta one, and then we had to what's that? We had to think of upgrade downgrade scenario if the feature gates are renamed, or not feature gates, flags are changed.
If the flags are changed. Wait, if you want to combine them into one field, it's still alpha, right? So there is no upgrade downgrade that we have to do for the old field. Is that what you were referring to?
So a customer who or a user who has enabled this feature in 1.18 and was using this field FS group change policy in the pod, when they upgrade to 1.19, it should work, right? Like maybe
No, because it's alpha, right?
so we can just completely break it.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that we had to do some magic, but yeah, okay.
No, not for alpha features. But yeah, so I think that would be pretty important to resolve by tomorrow. So if you guys can sort of brainstorm what it would look like with a single API and sort of what use cases would that disallow us to do, then and make a decision on that, that'd be good. So then we can decide if we want to hold the FS group one or not.
Cool.
All right. Any other topics? Then we'll end the meeting for today. Thanks, everyone.